Welcome to this channel. Here we are going to talk about the stories of our Holy Bible. And today's story will be about the family reunion, so let's go. When Jacob learned that there was food in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why are you standing there with your arms crossed? I heard that in Egypt there is food. Go there and buy grain so we don't starve." So Joseph's 10 brothers on his father's side went to Egypt to buy food. But Jacob would not let Benjamin, Joseph's brother through his father and mother, go with them. He was afraid that some misfortune would happen to him. Jacob's sons went to buy supplies along with other people, for the whole country of Canaan was famine. As governor of Egypt, it was Joseph who sold grain to people who came from other lands. When Joseph's brothers arrived, they knelt down in front of him and put their faces to the ground. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended not to know them. And he asked them in a hard voice, "You guys, where do you come from?" "From the land of Canaan," they replied. "We want to buy groceries." Joseph recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. Then Joseph remembered the dreams he had had about them and said, "You are spies who have come to see our country's weaknesses." They answered, "Not at all, sir. We, your servants, have come to buy supplies. We are children of the same father. We are not spies, sir. We are honest people." "I don't believe it," said Joseph. "You have come to see our country's weaknesses." They said, "We live in Canaan. We are 12 brothers in all, children of the same father. But one brother has disappeared, and the youngest is now with our father." Joseph replied, "It's like I said, you're spies. And the way to prove that you are telling the truth is this: until your youngest brother comes here, you will not leave here. This I swear on the king's life. One of you will pick him up, but the others will be locked up until it's proven whether or not you're telling the truth. If not, then you are spies. I swear on the king's life." And he put them in jail for 3 days. On the 3rd day Joseph said to them, "I am a person who fears God. I'll let you stay alive, but on one condition. If, in fact, you are honest people, let one of you stay here in jail, and let the others go home, taking supplies to satisfy their family's hunger. Then bring your younger brother here. This will prove whether or not you are telling the truth, and if they are, they will not be killed." They agreed and said to each other, "In fact, we are now suffering because of what we did to our brother. We saw his distress when he asked us to pity him, but we didn't care. So now it's our turn to be afflicted." And Reuben said thus, "I told you not to mistreat the boy, but you wouldn't listen to me. So now we are paying for his death." They didn't know that Joseph was understanding what they were saying, as he had been speaking to them through an interpreter. Joseph walked away from them and began to cry. When he could speak again, he returned, separated Simeon and had him bound in their presence. Joseph ordered the employees to fill the bags that the brothers had brought with supplies and to return the money to each one, putting it in the bags of supplies. And also to give them food for the journey. And so it was done. Joseph's brothers loaded the supplies they had bought on the donkeys and left. When they reached the place where they were going to spend the night, one of them opened a bag to feed his animal and saw that his money was there in the mouth of the bag of supplies. He said to the brothers, "Look! My money is here in my bag of groceries." They did. Everyone was very scared and, trembling with fear, asked each other, "What is it that God has done to us?" When they arrived in Canaan, they told Jacob, his father, everything that had happened to them. And they said, "That man, the governor of Egypt, treated us brutally and accused us of having gone into his country as spies. We answer, we are honest men, we are not spies. We are 12 brothers in all, children of the same father. But one of our brothers has disappeared, and the youngest is now with our father in Canaan." The governor replied, "I have a way of finding out if you are honest men. One of you will stay here with me, and the others will return with some food for their families, who are starving. But bring your younger brother here to me. That way I will know that you are not spies, but honest men. Then I will hand over your brother, and you can stay here and negotiate." It so happened that, when they emptied the supplies, each one found a small bag with their money in the mouth of the bag. When they and their father saw the money, they were afraid. Then Jacob said, "Do you want me to lose all my children? Joseph is not with us, and Simeon is not with us either. Now you want to take Benjamin, and I'm the one who suffers from all this." Then Reuben said to his father, "Let me take care of Benjamin, I will bring it back to you. If you don't bring it, you can kill my 2 children." Jacob replied, "My son won't go with you. Joseph, his brother, is dead, and only Benjamin is left. Something could happen to him on the trip you are going to make, and you would kill this old man with sadness." Hunger was still very great in Canaan. When the families of Jacob and his sons had eaten all the food that had been brought out of Egypt, Jacob said to his sons, "Go back to Egypt and buy us some more food." But Judah remembered. "That man made it clear that if our brother didn't come with us, he wouldn't see us. If you let him go, we'll buy you supplies. If you don't let us, we won't go." That man said, "I will only receive you if you bring your younger brother." Jacko said, "Why did you bring such disgrace upon me? Why did they tell that man that they had another brother?" They answered, "That man asked a lot of questions about us and our family. He asked, 'Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother?' We had to answer his questions. Could we have guessed that he was going to ask us to take our brother?" Then Judah said to his father, "Leave the boy to me. We will leave right now, and that way no one will die, not us, not you, not our little children. I am responsible for Benjamin. If I don't get him back safe and sound, you can blame it on me. I will be guilty before you for the rest of my life. If we hadn't taken so long, we would have been there and back twice already." Then the father said, "Since there's no other way, do this, put some gifts in the bags for that man. Take the best products of this land, a little balm, a little honey, spices, nuts and almonds. Also take double the money, because you need to return the amount that was found in the mouth of the bags of groceries you brought. There must have been some mistake. Take your brother and go quickly to meet that man again. May Almighty God make him take pity on you and let your other brother and Benjamin go home. As for me, if I have to lose my children, what can I do?" So Jacob's sons took the gifts and double the money and went to Egypt, taking Benjamin with them. As soon as they arrived, they went to talk to Joseph. When Joseph saw that Benjamin was with them, he said to the servant in charge of his household, "Take these men to my house. Kill an animal and prepare everything, as they will have lunch with me today at noon." The administrator complied with the order and took the brothers to Joseph's house. When they got there, they were afraid and said to each other, "They brought us here for the money that was put back in the bags of groceries the other time. They will surely attack us, they will take our donkeys from us and force us to work as slaves." As soon as they arrived at the door of the house, they said to the administrator, "Please sir, we came here once to buy groceries. However, when we arrived at the place where we were going to spend the night, we opened the bags of provisions, and in the mouth of the bags each one found his money, without anything missing. We brought that money back, and we also have more money here to buy groceries. We don't know who put the money in the bags of groceries." Then the administrator replied, "Be calm, don't be afraid. The God of you and your father must have put the money in the bags of provisions for you, for I received the money you paid." The steward brought Simeon to where they were. Then he took them into the house, gave them water to wash their feet, and also fed the donkeys. The brothers prepared the gifts they were going to give Joseph when he came at noon, as they already knew they were going to have lunch there. When Joseph arrived at his house, they gave him the gifts they had brought, knelt down in front of him and put their face to the ground. Jose asked how they were doing and then said, "And how is your father, that old man you told me about? Does he still live?" They answered, "Your humble servant, our father, is still alive and well." Joseph looked around, and when he saw Benjamin, his brother from his father and mother, he said, "Is this your youngest brother you told me about? May God bless you, my son." Upon seeing his brother, Joseph was so moved that he wanted to cry. So he went to his room and there he cried. When he managed to control himself, he washed his face and left. And he says, "Serve lunch." Lunch was served to Joseph at one table and to his brothers at another. And there was yet another table for the Egyptians who were there, as these, for religious reasons, were forbidden to eat together with the Israelites. The brothers sat across from Joseph. They were placed in order of age, from the oldest to the youngest. When they saw this, they began to look at each other in astonishment. They served them the same food as Joseph and gave Benjamin 5 times as much food as the others. And they drank with Joseph until they were merry. After that Joseph gave the manager of his household the following order. "Fill the sacks these men brought with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of the sacks. And in the mouth of the bag of provisions belonging to the younger brother, put my silver cup, along with the money he paid for your food." The administrator did everything as Joseph had ordered. Early in the morning Joseph's brothers set out on their donkeys. When they had already left the city, but were not far away, Joseph said to his steward, "Go quickly after those men, and when you catch up with them, say this, 'Why have you paid evil for good? Why did they steal my master's silver cup? He uses this cup for drinking and for guessing things. You have committed a crime.'" When the steward caught up with them and told them what Joseph had ordered, they replied, "Why are you talking like that? We wouldn't be able to do such a thing. We brought you back from the land of Canaan the money we found in the mouth of each of our food bags. Then why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If you find the cup with any of us, he will be killed, and we will be his slaves." The administrator said, "I agree with you, but only the one with the cup will be my slave, the others can leave." Then they quickly put the bags of food on the floor, and each one opened his own. Joseph's steward searched through each bag of provisions, starting with the oldest one to the youngest, and the cup was found in the mouth of Benjamin's bag of provisions. So the brothers tore their clothes in grief, put the loads back on the donkeys, and returned to the city. When Judah and his brothers arrived at Joseph's house, he was still there. They knelt in front of him and pressed their faces to the ground. Then Jose asked, "Why did you do that? Did you not know that a man like me is capable of guessing things?" Judah replied, "Sir, what can we say or answer? How can we prove that we are innocent? God discovered our sin. Here we are and we are all his slaves, we and the one with the cup." Jose said, "No way. I would never do such a thing. Only the one who had my cup will be my slave. The others can return to their father's house in peace." Then Judah approached Joseph and said, "Sir, allow me to speak frankly with you. Don't be angry with me, for you are like the king himself." The man asked, "Do you have a father or another brother?" We replied like this, "We have a father, already old, and a younger brother, who was born when our father was already old. The little boy's brother died. Now he is his mother's only son alive, and his father loves him very much. Then the gentleman told us to bring the boy because he wanted to see him. We replied that he could not leave his father, for if he did, his father would die. But you said that if he didn't come, you wouldn't receive us. When we arrived at our house, we told our father everything you had said. Then he sent us back to buy more groceries. We answer, 'We can't go, we will not be received by that man if our younger brother does not go with us. We will only go if our younger brother comes with us.' Then our father said, 'You know that my wife Rachel bore me 2 sons. One of them has already left me, I never saw him again. It must have been torn apart by wild animals. And if now you take this one away from me too, and some misfortune befalls him, you will kill this old man out of grief. Now, sir,' continued Judah, 'if I go home without the boy, as soon as my father realizes it, he will die. His life is linked with the boy's life, and we would be guilty of killing our old father out of grief. And there's more, I assured my father that I would be responsible for the boy. So I said, if I don't bring the boy back to you, I'll be guilty before you for the rest of my life. So now I ask you to let me stay here as your slave in place of the boy. And allow him to return with his brothers. How can I go home if the boy doesn't go with me? I don't want to see that disgrace fall on my father. Joseph could no longer control his emotion in front of his employees, so he shouted, "Everybody get out of here." That's why none of the servants were there when Joseph told his brothers who he was. He began to cry so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and the news reached the king's palace. Joseph said to the brothers, "I'm Joseph. Is my father still alive?" When the brothers heard this, they were so scared that they couldn't answer anything. And Joseph said, "Come closer to me, please." They arrived, and he continued, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold in order to be brought to Egypt. Now don't be sad or angry with yourselves for selling me in order to be brought here. It was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. There have already been 2 years of famine in the world, and there will still be 5 more years in which no one will prepare the land or harvest. God sent me ahead of you in order that he might wonderfully save your lives here in this country and ensure that you would have offspring. Therefore, it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me the king's highest minister. I am in charge of his palace and I am the governor of all Egypt. Now go home quickly and tell my father that your son Joseph has sent word to him, God has made me governor of all Egypt. Come see me soon, don't delay. You will live in the region of Goshen and so you will be close to me, you, your children, your grandchildren, your sheep, your goats, your cattle and all that is yours. The famine will last another 5 years, and in Goshen I will supply you, your family and your livestock. That way you won't lack for anything." Joseph continued, "All of you and Benjamin, my brother, can see that it is myself, Joseph, who is speaking. Tell my father how powerful I am here in Egypt, tell him everything you've seen. Go quickly and bring my father here." Joseph hugged his brother Benjamin and began to cry. And, hugging Joseph, Benjamin also cried. Then, still crying, Joseph hugged and kissed each of his brothers. After that the brothers started talking to him. The news that Joseph's brothers had come reached the palace of the king of Egypt, and he and his servants were glad about it. The king said to Joseph, "Tell your brothers to load up the animals and return to the land of Canaan. And bring me their father and their families. I will give them the best land in Egypt, and they will eat the best of what this country produces. Let your brothers take carts from Egypt to bring the women and young children and also their father. And do not worry about leaving behind what you have, for the best that is in the land of Egypt will be theirs." The sons of Jacob did this. Joseph gave them carts, as the king had ordered, and food for the journey. He also gave them new clothes, but Benjamin gave 300 bars of silver and 5 changes of clothes. For his father, Joseph sent 10 donkeys loaded with the best things in Egypt and 10 donkeys loaded with grain, bread, and other supplies for the journey. The brothers said goodbye, and when it was time to leave, Joseph advised, "Don't fight along the way." They left Egypt and when they arrived in Canaan, they went to the house of Jacob, their father. Then they said to him, "Jose is alive. He is the ruler of all Egypt." Jacob nearly fainted and couldn't believe it. However, when they told him all that Joseph had said, and when he saw the carts he had sent to take him to Egypt,